"That horse has got more fight in him than sense," Jack muttered, pulling on his worn leather boots. At 34, Jack had been running Thunder Ridge since his father's passing 3 years ago. 500 acres of prime Colorado ranch land, 50 head of horses, and a legacy that stretched back 3 generations, all resting on his shoulders like winter snow. The ranch had been his father's dream, built from nothing but sweat, determination, and an unshakable belief that a man could carve out his piece of heaven if he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Now, it was Jack's turn to prove that the Thompson name meant something in these parts. The Colorado wind howled like a banshee across Thunder Ridge Ranch, carrying with it the promise of the harshest winter in 20 years. Jack Thompson stood at his kitchen window, steam rising from his black coffee, watching the gray clouds gather like an army preparing for war. "Boss!" Miguel's voice cut through the morning silence as he burst through the door, snow still clinging to his weathered hat. "Thunder's gone and done it again. Broke through the north fence like it was made of matchsticks." Jack set down his mug with a heavy sigh. Thunder, a magnificent Mustang stallion with a coat like fresh snow and a mane black as midnight, had been nothing but trouble since Jack rescued him from a pack of wild horses 6 months ago. The animal had spirit, that much was certain, but spirit without direction was just chaos waiting to happen. Jack found Thunder down by Willow Creek, standing proud as a statue despite the freezing temperature. But he wasn't alone. Emma Martinez knelt beside the stallion, her veterinarian bag open in the snow, checking Thunder's left front hoof with the gentle precision that had made her the most trusted animal doctor in 3 counties. "Your troublemaker's got a stone lodged in here," Emma called out without looking up. "Good thing, too, or he might have run all the way to Kansas by now." Even in the bitter cold, Emma looked like something out of a dream. Her auburn hair escaped from beneath her wool cap, and her green eyes sparkled with intelligence and warmth. She'd grown up on the neighboring Creek View Ranch, and Jack had been half in love with her since they were teenagers, riding horses through these same meadows. "Sorry about that, Em. I swear that horse has a personal vendetta against every fence post on my property," Jack said, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. Emma laughed, a sound that could melt snow. "Maybe he's just trying to tell you something. Animals have instincts we've forgotten how to hear." As she worked on Thunder's hoof, Jack found himself mesmerized by her gentle touch, the way she whispered soothing words to calm the agitated stallion. Emma had always had a gift with animals. They trusted her in a way that seemed almost magical. "There we go, big boy," Emma said, standing and brushing snow from her knees. "That should feel better." Thunder whickered softly and nuzzled Emma's shoulder, making her smile. Jack felt a pang of something that might have been jealousy. Even his own horse preferred Emma's company to his. "Emma," Jack began, then stopped. The words he wanted to say seemed to freeze on his lips, like his breath in the cold air. "What is it, Jack? If you're not busy, would you like to have dinner sometime? At my place?" The words tumbled out before he could stop them. Emma's smile could have powered the entire ranch. "I thought you'd never ask." Marcus Kane stepped out of his black Escalade like a shadow falling across the pristine snow. Everything about him screamed money and power. From his $1,000 boots that had never seen honest dirt to the Rolex that caught the weak winter sunlight. He'd come to Colorado with one purpose: to buy up every small ranch in the valley and transform them into Silver Creek Resort and Golf Course. a playground for rich city folks who wanted to pretend they understood the West. Beautiful property, Kane said to his assistant, Carl, a nervous man with beady eyes and sweaty palms. Shame it's wasted on playing cowboy when it could be generating real money. Kane had already acquired 5 ranches in the area, each purchase sweetened by offers that were too good to refuse, at least until the owners realized they'd sold their souls along with their land. But Thunder Ridge was different. Thunder Ridge was the prize, the crown jewel that would make his resort complete. Thompson turned down our last offer, Carl reminded him, scrolling through notes on his tablet. $2.5 million, and he barely looked at the contract. Kane's smile was as cold as the winter wind. Mr. Thompson doesn't understand that everything has a price. Sometimes you just have to help people see reason. He built his empire by understanding that every man had a breaking point, a moment when pride bent to practicality. Jack Thompson would learn that lesson soon enough. The blizzard hit Thunder Ridge 3 days before Christmas, with the fury of nature unleashed. Weather reports called for 30 inches of snow and temperatures that would make polar bears shiver. Jack had spent 2 days preparing, reinforcing fences, stocking feed, and making sure every animal had shelter. When Emma called to ask if she could bring her horses to Thunder Ridge's larger barn, Jack's heart hammered like thunder's hooves on frozen ground. "Of course," he said. "But Em, the roads are gonna be dangerous. Why don't you stay here until the storm passes?" The silence on the other end of the line stretched like a held breath. "Are you sure?" Emma asked quietly. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." That evening, as the storm raged outside with biblical fury, Jack and Emma sat by the fireplace in his living room. The flames danced and crackled, casting golden light across Emma's face. "My grandmother used to say that storms brought people together for a reason," Emma said softly. "That sometimes it takes nature's fury to show us what really matters." Jack studied her profile, memorizing every detail like a man storing up warmth for winter. "Emma, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about it for years, but I never had the courage." She turned to face him, her green eyes reflecting the firelight. "What is it?" "I love you." The words came out simple and honest, like everything important should be. "I've loved you since we were kids, but I was always too scared to risk our friendship." Emma set down her mug and reached for his hands. Her touch was warm and soft and perfect. "Jack Thompson, you beautiful fool. I've been waiting for you to say that for 10 years. When they kissed, it was like the sun breaking through storm clouds, like spring returning after the longest winter. The blizzard raged on, but inside Thunder Ridge, 2 hearts finally found their home. Jack woke to Miguel pounding on his door like the world was ending. The storm had passed, leaving behind a crystalline wonderland of snow and ice, but Miguel's face was dark with worry. "Boss, we got problems. Big problems." In the barn, the devastation was immediate and obvious. 5 empty stalls where Thunder Ridge's finest horses should have been. The lock on the main door had been cut, and tire tracks in the fresh snow told the story of midnight thieves. "Thunder's gone," Miguel said, his voice heavy with anger. "Took Midnight, Storm Cloud, Copper, and Angel too. Professional job. They knew exactly which horses to take." Jack's hands clenched into fists. He didn't need detective work to know who was responsible. Kane. Emma appeared at his shoulder, her face pale. "Jack, Thunder trusted you. All those horses trusted you. The weight of that trust felt heavier than all the snow in Colorado. These weren't just animals, they were family, each one with a personality and a story. Thunder, especially, had finally been learning to trust humans again after his wild years. "I'll get him back," Jack said, his voice carrying the cold fury of winter itself. "I don't care what it takes." But Kane was smart and rich and ruthless. Getting proof would be harder than taming Thunder had ever been. Sheriff Roberts was sympathetic but helpless. "Jack, I know it was Kane, you know it was Kane, but knowing and proving are different animals. Without evidence, my hands are tied tighter than a calf at branding time." Jack understood the law, but understanding didn't make it any easier to swallow. While they talked about warrants and probable cause, Thunder and the others were somewhere cold and scared, wondering why their human family had abandoned them. Emma had her own idea. "Kane's got 3 properties in the county," she said, spreading a map across Jack's kitchen table. "The warehouse district facility, his temporary offices downtown, and that ranch he bought from the Hendersons last month." "Pine Valley Ranch," Miguel nodded. "Been abandoned for years before Kane bought it. Perfect place to hide stolen horses." Jack studied the map like a general planning a battle. "We can't just ride in there guns blazing. Kane's got security, and if we're wrong, we're not wrong," Emma said firmly. "Thunder would call to me if he's close enough. That horse has been half in love with me since the day you rescued him." The plan they hatched was born of desperation and love in equal measure. Emma would approach Pine Valley Ranch openly, using her veterinarian credentials to demand an inspection based on anonymous reports of sick animals. While she distracted Kane's security, Jack and Miguel would circle around back and look for their stolen family. Pine Valley Ranch sat in a hollow between 2 hills like a secret hidden from the world. Kane had moved fast to transform it from abandoned property to fortified compound. New fencing, security cameras, and guards who looked more like soldiers than ranch hands. At precisely 2 in the afternoon, Emma drove up to the main gate in her veterinarian truck, clipboard in hand and authority in her voice. "I need to inspect your facilities," she told the guard, a mountain of a man with dead eyes. "We've received reports of equine respiratory illness in this area, and state law requires immediate examination of all horses on the property." While Emma wove her spell of official authority, Jack and Miguel crept through the snow-covered hills behind the ranch. Every step had to be silent, every movement calculated. If they were caught, it wouldn't just mean jail time, it would mean Thunder and the others disappeared forever. The main barn sat like a cathedral in the valley, and from inside came the sounds that made Jack's heart race. The soft whickering of horses, the stamp of hooves on straw. His horses, family. "There," Miguel whispered, pointing to a side door. "2 guards at the front, but this way looks clear." Jack's heart hammered as they approached the barn. Every instinct screamed this was a trap, that Kane was too smart to leave his stolen prizes so lightly guarded. But love makes men brave and stupid in equal measure, and Jack would have walked into hell itself to bring Thunder home. Inside the barn, Jack's worst fears and greatest hopes collided. There, in makeshift stalls that looked more like prison cells, stood Thunder and the 4 other stolen horses. They looked unharmed but scared, their usual proud spirits dimmed by captivity. "Easy, boy," Jack whispered as Thunder's ears pricked forward at the sound of his voice. "I'm here. I came for you." Thunder whinnied softly, a sound of pure joy and relief that nearly broke Jack's heart. The stallion had never fully trusted humans, but in that moment, his faith in Jack blazed like a star. Miguel worked quickly to open the stall doors while Jack soothed the frightened animals. Years of ranching had taught them both to move quietly around horses, to project calm even when their hearts were racing. But as they led the first horse toward the door, footsteps echoed in the barn's entrance. Well, well, well. Kane's voice carried the satisfaction of a predator who'd cornered his prey. Jack Thompson, the last honest cowboy in Colorado. Funny how honest men always end up looking like thieves. Jack turned to face Kane, stepping protectively in front of Thunder. The developer stood flanked by 3 armed men, his expensive suit incongruous in the rustic barn setting. "These are my horses, Kane. You stole them." Kane's laugh was as cold as the winter wind. "Prove it. You're trespassing on private property, attempting to steal livestock. Sheriff Roberts is going to be very disappointed in you." Actually, Emma's voice cut through the tension like a knife through butter. "Sheriff Roberts is going to be very interested in this conversation." She stepped into the barn, holding her phone high, its screen showing an active recording. Behind her came Sheriff Roberts himself, gun drawn and face grim as winter stone. "Seems like Dr. Martinez here had some concerns about the legality of your livestock acquisition, Mr. Kane," the sheriff said. Imagine my surprise when she told me about horses matching the description of animals reported stolen from Thunder Ridge Ranch. Kane's composure cracked like ice in spring. "This is entrapment. You can't—" "What I can do is arrest you for theft, conspiracy, and about 6 other charges that'll keep you busy until spring comes back around," Sheriff Roberts interrupted. "Boys, you might want to put those guns down before this gets any more complicated." Kane's security team, faced with a sheriff's badge and the knowledge that their boss's money couldn't buy them out of a murder charge, slowly lowered their weapons. Thunder, as if sensing that freedom was at hand, reared up on his hind legs and let out a cry that echoed through the barn like a war song. The other horses joined in, creating a symphony of victory that rang off the rafters. Kane's arrest made headlines across Colorado. Silver Creek development collapsed overnight as investigators uncovered a web of illegal land acquisitions, environmental violations, and financial fraud that stretched back years. The ranchers who'd sold their properties to Kane found themselves free to buy back their family lands at reasonable prices. But for Jack, the real victory was watching Thunder run free across the snow-covered meadows of Thunder Ridge, his black mane streaming like a battle flag in the winter wind. The stallion had finally learned to trust completely, and that trust was a gift more precious than all of Kane's money. Spring came early to Colorado that year, bringing with it new life and new possibilities. Jack and Emma's wedding was held in the same meadow where they'd found Thunder that snowy December morning. The horse served as an unofficial ring bearer, carrying the rings in a small pouch tied to his saddle. "You know," Emma said as they swayed to the music from the ranch house porch, surrounded by friends, family, and the soft sounds of horses grazing in the twilight, "I think Thunder brought us together for a reason." Jack looked out at their land, their animals, their future stretching ahead like an unbroken horizon. Maybe he did, Or maybe some things are just meant to be. Thunder lifted his head from the grass and looked toward them, his dark eyes reflecting the last light of day. For a moment, Jack could swear the horse was smiling. In the distance, the mountains stood eternal and proud, guardians of a way of life that men like Kane could never understand or destroy. This was cowboy country, where loyalty mattered more than money, where a man's word was his bond, and where love for the land, for the animals, for each other, conquered all. As the first stars appeared in the darkening sky, Jack pulled Emma closer and whispered, "Welcome home, Mrs. Thompson." Thunder nickered softly in agreement, and all was right in their corner of the world.